let's discuss with Senator Marsha Blackburn, Tennessee Republican, who sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee and will be a juror if this thing ends up in the Senate. Good to have you back.
Good to be with you.
Okay, so let's talk about this. House Intel Chair Adam Schiff, who was not at the hearing today, but said this about the Horowitz report. The IG found no evidence that political bias influenced the decisions of senior intelligence or law enforcement agencies. Basically says game over.
That is astounding that he would say that. And Shannon, I tell you, I think that when people look at this report, they say, if the swamp is so murky and muddy that you have 17 inaccuracies, 10 of them in the first FISA report, and nobody is being called to account for this, nobody's being prosecuted, that's a problem. And that is how out of touch Washington, D.C. and even the Inspector General's report, they're so much a part of the DOJ and the FBI that they don't see their mistakes. That is one of the reasons that Donald Trump won in 2016. People are fed up with this elitism, with this incestuous relationship between these agencies here in Washington, D.C. There is a lot in here that we are going to go to. We want to know $95,000 paid to Christopher Steele. Why was all of this information from the dossier taken to account? Why did Jim Comey sign off on 3 of these FISA warrant requests? Lisa Page and Strzok, why are they not being called to account? Prosecute the lawyer. Case agent number 1, who is it? Prosecute that person.
And that may
There's a lot in here.
That may happen. There is. And as I dug through, I was surprised to see that there was so much, because the initial headline that you see is that this totally is not anything that the president or his supporters have suggested. And maybe it's true that those at the top, like James Comey and Andrew McCabe, they did not know the minutia of what was happening. But it's clear there were those within the FBI who were not updating evidence that could be potentially exculpatory, that these FISA applications continue to be reviewed and renewed based on faulty information. Now, the decision makers may not have known that because it didn't trickle up to them.
They took an inch and got by with it, so then they took the mile, basically, is what happened. And so that is why they had those inaccuracies in there and they got by with it. So then it was like a double down, a double down, a double down. And this is why I think the whole thing got away from them. But it is absolutely astounding to me that they thought they could get by with this and that they were not going to be called to account and that nobody was going to be prosecuted.
Okay, this is what James Comey, obviously the fired former FBI director, a little bit more of what he had to say in reaction.
With the Horowitz report, they're not only moving the goalpost, they're moving the stadium. Now we're going to focus on Durham. And when that doesn't produce what they want, they'll focus on something else. It won't end until this president's out of office. He needs to burn the FBI down because its culture and its commitment to the rule of law is the opposite of everything he stands for.
So he and others who oppose the president today say this report does not outline what the president had claimed, a witch hunt or a hoax. And he says if you're looking now to put your hopes on the Durham report, which will eventually come out, and of course he has a much broader net that he can throw out there in investigating this, that you're just essentially just trying to make an excuse for this not finding what Republicans had hoped it would find.
What Jim Comey doesn't understand is people look at this and they say, okay, was this just a series of unfortunate coincidences, which is his claim, or is this actions by the surveillance state? And I will tell you, when you look at what has happened with them spying on Carter Page and George Papadopoulos, when you look at Adam Schiff going after Devin Nunes phone records and a journalist's phone records, and he's sitting on all of these pages of people's phone records. People are saying if they can do it to them, they can do it to me. They don't think this is a series of unfortunate coincidences. They think this is the surveillance state and the swamp at work.
Okay, very quickly before we have to go, what's your question, your first one for Horowitz, when he shows up Wednesday before your committee?
I want to know who it was that is the subsource that has still got the information from.
Yeah, because apparently that subsource then gave conflicting information to what the whole Steele dossier had been based upon. Okay, Wednesday, we can't wait. It'll be very interesting for questions from all sides. We'll see you then, Senator. Thank you.